2023 has been the year of generative AI, a lot of excitement in the space, and data scientists are working behind the scenes along with other technical experts to make this technology a possibility for us. Today in our show, we have Toby, an upcoming data scientist who is a student who is gonna talk to us about generative AI and how he sees the data science function contributing to this exciting area of technology. Thanks, Toby, for being with us today.
Thank you, Vivek.
Why don't you kick us off with a short introduction?
Of course. So I'm Toby. I am a applied data science student at the University of Chicago, and I have previous data science experience in investment banking and in management consulting. So I've worked with clients kind of across the field in finance and retail and technology to help build out data science solutions to their problems. And yeah, as Vivek said, it's increasingly common that data science is becoming a core function of a lot of developments in technology. And so yeah, happy to talk about it and share and discuss our thoughts about data science.
That's great. So let's just talk at the 101 level, right? Not many people understand that data scientists are working on critical workflows that bring generative AI into the application. So would you give us like a high-level overview of how data scientists are putting generative AI into practice?
Yeah, of course. So obviously it's all very new because generative AI has only really come out the late 2022. So a lot of firms are still looking to adapt their workflows into applying generative AI into not just data science, but across the field of coding and programming technology, as well as just in general practice. And you're right, so generative AI is becoming more of a tool rather than a trend. A lot of firms see it as applicable to a wide range of resources. And what it really allows you to do is solve problems at a speed and at an efficiency that was previously unheard of, right? You had to employ a team of experts to do certain technical tasks, or you had to employ, top tier software engineers to solve your problems. And now these people are empowered by generative AI to cut out the mundane part of your day and just focus on the ideation and what matters when it comes to solving big problems.
Got it. That's great. When it comes to data science, I know that's one of the roles that you're targeting coming out of school. Why? Why data science, and what opportunities do you see in the industry?
Yeah, so great question. I think a lot of data scientists are thinking about this. And for me, it's about employing data and using kind of the math and quantitative side to solve problems. Because I used to work in finance and business, and I used to be a consultant. And I realized that a lot of the assumptions that we were making, a lot of the solutions that we were giving were driven by instinct, were driven by how people saw the world through their own lens. And of course that's biased, and it leads to solutions that are maybe not the best backed by science. So with data science, it comes down to, like, can you build a solution that's backed by facts? Can you build a model that works, that applies to a wide range of situations? And I love that kind of discovery. I love that kind of research that goes into a solution in industry. And I think that as we go through the years, right, the next decade, we'll see data science becoming a much larger part of solution generation and in building new technologies. So that's why I'm personally interested in data science.
That's great to hear. And what are some of the new skill sets that you think can help data scientists to contribute more to the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think nowadays it's very important for data scientists to see the bigger kind of business picture, because over the last 10 years, when data science is still a niche field, it was very much driven by research. So say the biggest firms in the industry would hire data scientists to conduct research on the breaking edge of what is possible in data science. For example, building very complicated machine learning models, transformers and LLMs, right? Large language models, things like that. And nowadays it's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming lot less like a R&D function, and it's becoming more of a core function to drive innovation in a company, regardless of whether it's cutting edge or not. And so in the next 10 years, it's going to have to be a lot more business focused, right? How does my solution, how does my model help directly drive footfall, help consumers, or does it help me predict and forecast things better? Another thing that if you're talking about more specific aspects, you might have to be more aware of how applicable models are, and that was never really a problem in the last 5 years. Right? How do you make your model more fit better into the real world? And of course, with generative AI, prompting is becoming a huge thing, and it will be a huge thing in the next 5 years. How do you get your OpenAI or any other kind of LLMs to give you the solution in the most optimal way?
That's great to hear. So what are some of the career opportunities for data scientists once you land a job in a big tech company or an organization that is investing in data science and AI? I know you are also interested in product management. You talked about it. How do you see a data science expert growing in an organization?
So there are kind of a range of possible roles. I think data science is a very fast-growing and kind of not really structured or rigid role at the moment because it's expanding so fast. And so you have data scientists all the way from those people that are research scientists building out the next OpenAI or whatever the next innovation will be, and it can go all the way to a very applied scientist, something like maybe in business reporting or business intelligence or data analysts. These are all data scientists, but they work very different roles, where some might work on research and cutting edge technology, some might work on applying and building models in a very practical way to solve problems. And so in terms of what skill sets you might look at, it's going to be very different. Some are very research focused, some are very product focused.
That sounds all exciting. We talked about the opportunities with data science and how generative AI is further accelerating those opportunities. What are some of the challenges that you see in the life of a data scientist who is focused on bringing value, impacting the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think on a high level, people who aren't maybe technical folks may think that data science has immense growth and they don't really see the challenges at the moment. And that's obviously not true. As someone who has worked to the nitty-gritty details, it's very clear that there's a lot of work that goes behind a polished model. I think there's a very common stat that says something like 85% of models never go into production. They never get utilized for a business purpose. And you can see why when you try to build up models, because you can have the best model that fits perfectly the situation, but if it can't generate business profits, it can't generate or solve a solution that you want, then it's not going to be very useful for a business sense. And that's what we're realizing throughout kind of this data science lifecycle, is that the past 10 years of innovation and of building out the best models and building out the best solutions, it might not apply for the next 5 years because they are not necessarily the best fit for solutions. And more, we are seeing more roles of product data scientists or business reporting that is a lot more tied to the product, and the kind of technical expertise that they might deliver may not be as complicated or advanced as research scientists, but they ultimately end up being more useful because they apply better through a use case.
Nice. I like how you discussed about the evolution of the role of data scientists now moving close to the business versus previously it was more of a R&D function. And you also talked about the data science working across the AI lifecycle, starting with the data curation. And currently, we are at a point where organizations are operationalizing AI at scale. So governance is a topic that is being discussed. And 2024 is a year, in my opinion, the breakout year, when organizations, especially the larger ones, are going to adopt AI. So how do you see governance? Is that something that is going to hold back the zeal of data scientists working on exciting AI projects, or do you think that's going to be an enabler?
Yeah, you're 100% right in that we're at the frontier now, and we're at that kind of tipping point. Is governance really does it really help that much in terms of product or model development and responsible use of security and privacy in AI, or is it holding people back? Is it holding innovation back? And really, that comes down to what the next year will bring. We've seen over the last 2 months that both governments in the EU and the US, particularly in California, where Silicon Valley has really introduced sweeping measures to protect, consumer data, privacy, and in terms of data collection and building models, that's super important, right? You need, for a model that really can predict user behavior, you need as much user data that you are allowed to use as you can. And we've seen that a lot of companies, leading companies, have taken their own, what do you call this? It's more proactive from them. They would choose to release their own frameworks and guidelines to guide the development of their own AI, rather than wait for governments to force them into certain procedures in terms of governance. And because of this, in 2024, we might see that more companies choose to take the step where they say, look, I'm very transparent about how we build the model, and I'm very transparent about how our research and our development of AI is going. Here's all the data that we use. Now, because we've imposed these regulations on ourselves, I don't think you should be, putting further roadblocks in our way of development. And so, this dichotomy where you have, governments trying to stem the flow of user data and to protect privacy of users is really, really much slower than how corporations operate in terms of guiding their own AI in terms of responsible development. And so it might be a fair few years before we see the government able to catch up in terms of AI regulation and data governance. But it's really good to see that corporations are taking it upon themselves to release their own responsible guidelines on how to develop AI, and we might see that for the following few years.
That's great. So you feel governance is going to be an enabler, and it's going to further make the data science function more robust?
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword where you have two types of governance, right? You have governance that's really, really about AI safety and privacy, and that's really an enabler, right? Because if you're developing AI in a responsible way, you are really fully aware of the risks, and you're mitigating these risks beforehand, and that's really very important in an age where AI is developing, right? It's kind of the Wild West at the moment in terms of where we are with development. But you also have the second kind of regulation that's mostly taken up by governments, where they're protecting consumer data, they're protecting consumers from corporations that are building these AIs, and kind of informing them about their rights. And that, from a consumer standpoint, is very healthy, and you see that across the industry with all types of different technologies. But it might be a kind of a roadblock in terms of how fast AI can build, because from the start of the process, as you said, data collection is super important, and if you can't get that data, you can't build a strong model, and it might end up slowing down AI development over the next few years.
Great. It's good to see all stakeholders across the ecosystem working together to create responsible AI, so everyone can benefit from this technology. Great. So as we wrap up, I would like to hear your thoughts about what's in the pipeline with respect to AI. What are some of the AI innovations that you think will further push the frontier?
Yep. That's a very, very interesting question. I think that we are branching off into many different parts of AI at the moment. Over the next few years, we'll see that the leading corporations who have created their own research team. I think some of them are called garages for the most experimental projects. So every top tier firm has their own garage, and from these garages we'll see the top tier innovation of AI in more business applications, right? We might see supply chain innovation. We might see a lot of innovation in the further innovation in the NLP space. We've seen that OpenAI, the first, or I guess ChatGPT, has the largest model or used the largest text in terms of training their model, but we might see a big jump when other models are now using synthetic data or data created by previous iterations of large language models in training their own models. So we might see kind of an exponential growth in how much data is being used to train large language models, more than humans have ever produced. It's now more machine-produced data, and that could be the next step in training or developing the next large language model in terms of accuracy and efficiency. But ultimately, it comes down to, as I said, like what is the best innovation for business application? As data science moves away from R&D and more to a revenue-generating role, right? The research can only be so good if it has to benefit the company in some way. So we're moving to more business innovation, and we might see research that's a lot more tethered to reality and how it can help society in the future. And that's something that's really exciting. So both of us can't wait to see the next few years of data science.
Awesome. So I guess we are in for a thrilling and exciting year ahead. 2024 is not going to disappoint us, at least with respect to AI and all the other innovation that's in the pipeline. Well, Toby, it was a pleasure discussing with you today, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Vivek.
Until next time, see you guys. Take care.